Hi, I'm David Mickelson from Mickelson Capital Consulting, and today I want to make some comments on a New York Times article that appeared last Sunday, September 6th, and the title of the article was Wall Street Profits from Bundling Life Insurance. And that article, it was really interesting because it did a review of a new phenomenon where large companies who hold life insurance are selling them in bundles to people securitizing groups of policies, and they're selling it off to investors. And that's truly what's going on today. So it's very true about that's what's going on. And since the business is taking off, it's something really timely to discuss today. Now, the article did compare the collateralized mortgage obligation debacle, where they securitized mortgages that fell apart last year and that caused the collapse of the financial structure pretty much last year. Now, there is a grain of truth to that, but certainly it was overstated in the article, and that's why I'm speaking here today. Because number one, they're actually very different. Each policy that we put in these securitizations, in fact, has its own highly rated insurance company behind it, so that every policy has the full faith and credit of the insurance company that issues it. Now, if the people that sell these securitizations to the investors are all wrong and their calculations really are wrong, just like they were in the mortgage market, they would tend to lose the money. They would make less returns for the investors, and possibly the investors would lose some money, but the likelihood of a wipeout where there's no value is extremely small, because each and every policy is guaranteed by a very highly rated insurance carrier. So I would say that there's very different circumstances to the mortgage market. Now, it did say in the article that this was good for Wall Street, which it is, very good for Wall Street, but it may be very bad for the insurers and may be very bad for the public. It mentioned three different arguments that I want to discuss here today. Number one, it said that in order for life settlement companies to profit, they have to have policies that don't lapse, and that's true, which means that the policies don't cease to exist and the insurance companies do pay the death benefits. Now, the claim in the article, and it's widely used across the industry, is the life insurance companies actually don't plan to pay the death benefits because they plan to have a certain number of lapses, which means that they collect premiums and they ultimately never pay the benefit. Now, while that may have been true in the past, many insurance companies have told me personally, as well as in many industry publications, that the claim that there's lapse-based pricing, which means pricing based on the assumption that they won't pay the death benefit, is not what they do anymore. And so they're claiming that their pricing really does include paying a death benefit for each and every policy. So that dispels that one argument. Now, the second thing it said in the article was there was many fraud complaints about life settlements. Now, the truth is that there is a lot of fraud complaints, but really most of the fraud complaints are coming from the life insurance industry that doesn't like the life settlement business. The public has the occasional abuse, of course, like any business where you have bad actors, but as an overall proposition, the life settlement business literally in the last number of years has cleaned up their act, and there's very, very little ongoing risk of out-and-out fraud. Okay. The other point they made in the article was that there's a presumption that life settlement transactions are taking advantage of seniors. Now, I think it's wrong-headed to say that. I think carriers, life insurance carriers, to a much greater extent, take advantage of seniors by not telling them about the possibility of life settlements. Let's use logic. How is getting a senior a tremendous amount more than the life settlement, with a life settlement, getting the senior a lot more money than they would from the life insurance company? How is that taking advantage of them? So that argument really doesn't hold much water. Now, life settlements, in fact, are good for seniors for a fundamental reason. Number one, they have choices. When their circumstances change, instead of being stuck with a policy and then turning it in to the insurance company for peanuts, they can often sell it for good money, and sometimes for more money than they paid. That has to be good for the public. When you have a secondary market where it's an active, vibrant, competitive market, and you can sell any asset that you own, possibly for as much, if not more, than you've paid, that's got to be good for the public. Now, the insurance industry has made a lot of complaints about that, but in my belief, I believe life settlements are really good for the life insurance carriers as well in the long run. And that's because having an active resale market makes seniors much more amenable to buying the amount of new life insurance policies they really need. You know, life insurance has typically been very hard for seniors to be convinced to buy because it seems like a sunk cost to them, an expense rather than an asset. With the idea of having a policy that has a resale value, seniors are going to be much more willing, and therefore there's going to be a lot more people buying policies, and selling a lot of policies is what the life insurance companies profit from. So in the end, it's really good for the life insurance industry, because with people being encouraged to buy more policies, there'll be more profits for the insurance industry. That's one reporter's opinion for today. I'm David Mickelson from Mickelson Capital Consulting, and I thank you for listening, and good day.